To make a radial design square, you need a square. And then you have some folds to make. This one's already been folded, but I'll still use it to show you. You have to make a diagonal fold. You have to make it from corner to corner and crease it real good and make it real even. And then turn it the opposite way and fold on that same fold so that it'll fold easily either direction, called a hinge fold. Then you have to do the same thing from the other two corners. You fold it, and then you flip it around and you fold it the opposite direction on that crease. So then you basically have an X going from corner to corner. You have two more folds to make. So you fold from side to side and you crease it. Make sure your edges are even and crease it. And then you do the other side. So basically you have all these folds. Now when you draw your design, a good idea to just isolate a triangle, and also a good idea to draw really lightly so that you can make corrections if you decide you need to. So I'll fast forward through the drawing part because you'll be doing your own drawing, but I am going relatively lightly, and in that way if I want to erase something I can and it won't make a mess. So I can't stress that enough because I think there's a tendency to just really draw hard sometimes. You can always go over it, but sometimes it's really hard to erase. I'm using a lot of straight lines this time, but I'm also going to put in a couple curved lines for some variety, and I'm making them overlap and different things like that. And like I said, you'll have your own design to draw, but you want to fill up that whole triangle. And this one is going to be painted, so keep that in mind when you are making your design. You won't like it if you make it too small. So now I've got a design on one of the wedges, and I have a half sheet of paper that I've covered with oil pastel. I call it a transfer sheet. And I've got this folded in half, and I'm going to lay this right on top of the transfer sheet so that the whole wedge that has the design is on the transfer sheet. And now I'm going to draw over my design, and I'm going to press down because I want that to transfer to the other side. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And if you already did the symmetrical design, you already pretty much know how this goes. But you see it's transferring. You can see the lines. They're kind of faint right there. Weren't as faint for me in person as they are on the movie, I guess. So I just carefully trace all of those lines, and it's important to be careful because if you're sloppy, it's just going to totally mess up your whole thing. And why waste time if you're not going to do a good job, right? Okay, I don't have too much more to go here. Tracing over this one. Okay, now see I have the whole design. It's in pink, or actually in red, light red. Okay, so now I have to figure out how I'm going to transfer to another wedge. And I think the best thing to do is to use my newly transferred image and fold it so that it's opposite a blank wedge and lay it on top of my transfer sheet. And then this is also an opportunity to not only transfer but to draw over the pale lines. So it serves two purposes. So I think I can safely fast forward now a little bit because I think you've got the general idea, but I won't go so fast as to lose you. So I'm tracing over my newly transferred design, giving it pencil lines, and also transferring it to another side. So see, there it is, another newly transferred design. So I fold that, and I have it opposite a blank wedge, and I put it so that the blank wedge is facing downward onto the transfer sheet, and then I go ahead and I draw over the lines and I press hard enough so that they transfer. So see, this one's transferred too, and it just makes sense to fold it so that it's back to back with a blank wedge, and do the dual purpose thing again where I'm drawing over the lines and making them in pencil and also transferring the image to the other wedge. So far, it's always made sense to take the newly transferred design, and I've always been able to fold it so that it's back to back with a blank wedge, and then just put it on top of the transfer paper and go ahead and trace it. So now I don't have one that's back to back with a newly transferred design anymore. But as long as I can get a design back to back with a blank wedge, there shouldn't be any problem with the transfer. See, that one's, both of those designs are back to back with a blank wedge when I folded it that way. And so I'll just go ahead and continue what I'm doing. Same thing for every wedge, basically. So I just have one more blank wedge. And so I could use either side to transfer, but I'll just use the newly transferred one so I can darken the lines up with pencil. And by the time I get done tracing this one, I'll have my entire design traced. Now the only thing left to do is to just trace over these lines with pencil so that all the lines are in pencil. And then I'll be able to finish it up with any kind of medium I want to. I did mention that we were going to be painting these in this particular class, and so hopefully you made your areas large enough so it's not going to be a problem. And then we'll go on to the painting part of it.